They tried to make us think that this conflict between Israel and Palestine is a religious one, between Muslims and Jews, and that Hamas is a jihadist organization, something similar to Daesh, to ISIS. All my years there, I've never seen anything that would give me a reason to think that. Hamas is just a continuation of the resistance. The first Intifada began in Bet Sahur, in Shepherd's Field, which is a Christian town on the outskirts of Bethlehem. That was the first one form of resistance. And then we have the PLO and the Tanzim. So Hamas is just a development of that resistance in another name. So that's why it's so painful if we could communicate anything to people in America, because I think people in the Middle East understand it better. You're not going to accomplish anything by mowing the grass, is what the Israelis call it, by continuing to say, now we're going to wipe out everybody that is Hamas. 20 years ago, they were wiping out everybody that was with the Tanzim. Marwan Barghouti is still in prison because they were people that were resisting an occupation. The mainstream media, unfortunately, goes along with that narrative. They don't challenge it when the Israelis say, that give you this image that Hamas and any groups they're all terrorists in Palestine. No, the reality is you've taken their land, you haven't defined a border, so when people resist, it's because, I think the better way to look at it is, imagine all the times, when I first moved to Al-Azariya, we had the settlement of Mali Adumim, and it was relatively small then. And when you know what a settlement looks like because they have the white houses with red roofs, right? And now all throughout the West Bank, imagine those red roofs as being tanks. And then you realize that a war has been going on against the Palestinians, a violence against them, which is really the terrorism that's going on. It's so ironic. I lived there for 10 years. I go back all the time, and then I try to tell them exactly what I'm trying to tell you now, that the problem isn't that Palestinians are terrorists. They don't want to kill Jews or kill Israelis for the heck of killing these people. They're trying to protect their land and defend their land. And they come back to me and say, oh yeah, but Hamas is really dangerous. This is really dangerous. And aren't you afraid being a Christian there? They've never even been there. People who have tried to do nonviolent resistance. And what they've been met with was rubber bullets and getting killed when they try to peacefully march. And I've witnessed that myself. In fact, I remember in the beginning of the Second Intifada, I was in Bethlehem with religious leaders. We couldn't even make it from the Church of Nativity to walk to the checkpoint at that time, because we were immediately met with an APC, with small tanks by the Israeli soldiers. They had them pointed against bishops and priests and imams. So imagine if they do that to us, what they do to anybody who tries to resist. So when they say, well, how come the Palestinians don't peacefully resist? They have tried to do it, but they don't talk about that in America. They don't show you those stories.